I put that on my own name. Couldn't get this way with no pain. I feel the fire in us. Whoa, they looking for the goals. You can feel the pressure, bring it everywhere we go. And I deal with the highs, the same way I treat the lows. Oh no, don't close your eyes, I'm taking everything you own.
It has been 8 long months since I've been able to utter the words, welcome to the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup All-Stars show right here for the opening round of 2023 at the Hockenheimring. It is Paul Smith on commentary, and joining me for this season is my commentary colleague Arjuna Kankapati. And well, Arjuna, pleasure to have you along, and what a season we've got ahead of us.
The first time we commentated on some Porsche action, Paul, was on the 31st of October 2020 on the road to the World Championship. And so much has changed since then. We've got some new faces and a series that has seen a lot of change, but the one thing that is constant, the action on the track.
Certainly is tremendous stuff, and while the All-Stars that we will have beforehand will give us some tremendous entertainment, that is guaranteed out there. But this is where we are today then, Arjuna, and what a venue.
What a place to start off the campaign. It's going to be a tricky one though. Very, very flat is the Hockenheimring, but very, very challenging. Maybe old school motorsports fans would wish that we could go back in time, but this is what we've got. The long blast, of course, down in towards turn 6, the heavy braking zone at the hairpin, then the tight twisty turn 11 of Mobile 1 that leads you into that arena section. There are plenty of opportunities for passing around this 4.5 kilometer, 17 turn circuit, but Paul, we know one thing. You want to get things done early in the lap, because once you get to that final sector, side by side as possible, it's definitely not fast.
Yeah, it's certainly not fast indeed, and it's a tremendous mix of the old and the new here. And, well, speaking of the new, well, we're back with All Stars, and who better to first have a look at is TK himself, Tony Kanaan. Well, I mean, we saw him last season taking part in the All Stars. He loves his sim racing now. He has just so got on board with it, and so much so that he's now started running a team in all of this as well.
Yeah, he's going to have a driver competing in the Supercup later on today, but of course he's also got a team in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. So TK really starting to embrace competitive sim racing. Of course, he's been part of our community for so long. It's great to see him back on track in this All-Stars. In what is, as always, Paul, an eclectic field that lets us have some fun before we get down to the serious business.
Yeah, certainly, and these drivers are just in qualifying at the moment, so we will keep you abreast of all of that. Somebody who impressed last season as well is a man currently provisionally on pole position is Casey Kerwin, but Emily Jones, Emery, our 2021 All-Stars champion, she'll want to get herself back at the head of that field, but it was Quirk last season who came along and really dominated all season.
And as much as we say this is for fun, and these competitors are out there recognizing that it is for fun, let's not beat around the bush. We're all competitive, we're all trying to be the best that we can be, and this is a championship that will have a point system, and the champion will walk away with a special Tag Heuer connected Porsche Edition watch, position 2nd through 5th. We'll also get a regular Tag Heuer connected watch, just not that little bit more special. But in terms of trophies, I mean, look behind Casey Kerwin. They don't get much bigger than that eNASCAR Coca-Cola trophy from 2022.
Yeah, it's certainly, and with his face on it as well, isn't it? So it really is an impressive trophy that Casey has got there, and it's great. We've got so much talent on track. Dan Suzuki back once again with the All-Stars, and we saw some tremendous racing from Dan, and certainly was impressive to see him out there. Matt Malone and him were always sort of in and around each other last season. We have got a couple of new faces into the All-Stars as well here this season, so we'll do keep an eye on all of these. Love 46 is one of those drivers, and well, I mean, it's great to see new talent coming on board for the All-Stars.
Yeah, Lubiov Otsarevskovskaya is someone that we've seen in a lot of the virtual world, but someone that has competed in the real world as well. We see her compete alongside her partner a lot of the time as well, which is a lot of fun to see, but a really great community, and great to have her as part of the series. But not the only new name that we have, of course, some other fascinating names that we will talk about in a few moments, but there is Tyson Meyer, Quirkatized, and as always, you can't miss his car, that's for sure.
Yeah, he debuted this car last season, and well, it brought him so much luck that he decided to keep the luck for this season. But it's also got that important thing alongside, and that's that big number 1. And look at that, we've got people racing with him as well behind him.
Yeah, that's Tony Kanaan apparently behind him. So, of course, TK and Quirk have become pretty good friends, have met up before at Micro Center in particular, where Quirk showed up to steal a cardboard Tony Kanaan. But it's really cool to see that these partnerships and these friendships that you can make on the track can translate offline as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there you get to see the both of them together out there in the sim room there. But you know, I think of all the friendships I've made throughout of sim racing, throughout my life in sim racing, and I've very rarely actually met any of them. So when we do meet up, it's just like meeting up with an old friend that you haven't seen for a number of years. That's all it is, and you basically just back to how you were over, say, Discord or TeamSpeak or whatever your voice over internet protocol solution is. But we're getting ourselves to the end of qualifying, so we will get to see in just a few moments the starting grid here for today in this opening round of the All-Stars, and it is Casey Kerwin and Tony Kanaan who share that front row. Love 46 and Stradic row number 2 with Emery and Kenny 500 on row number 3. Fourth row of the grid for Porsche, Zazo and Basic Ollie, another one of our new drivers. Jardier back once again, the happiest man in sim racing. He's alongside Quirk with Matt Malone and Dave Cam. In back row of the grid then is Dan Suzuki and Heike 360 rounding out our 14 car field. So drivers will just be getting themselves prepared for the start of this race, and here's the format of how the All-Stars goes on. So we just saw qualifying. We'll have a 17-minute sprint race, then the grid will be entirely inverted then for the main race. So the results from the sprint will decide the main race grid, but in reverse, and standing starts for everyone. And to encourage people to carry on in these races, Arjuna, unlimited fast repairs, which I think is a really important thing with these All-Star races.
Yes, these are races where we expect a little bit of contact, we expect a little bit of bumper-to-bumper action in cars that they're going to have to adjust with over the course of the season.
Well, we're getting ready for the start of this one. Barney, the flagman, is waiting. He's going to give the signal. Green flag in the air, away we go for 2023 in the All-Stars, and it's down towards turn number 1 for Casey Kerwin ahead of Tony Kanaan. Tricky, narrow apex through turn number 1, but then you can get the run out the corner, heading in towards turn number 2 for the first time. You've got cold tyres, cold brakes, you've got to be careful as you go in there, and we're seeing that out there on track because Casey was all over the place, and TK sees an opportunity through the Parabolica for the first time here, and behind Love 46 is saying, oh good, I could get involved in all of this, I could get some positions here and potentially a race lead in this. 3 wide behind as well as Emery is having a look. We've got locked brakes going into the hairpin and contact around, and that's gotta be there's basically involved in that Jardier and David Cam as well.
Yeah, it was the iRacing liveried car that got the punt into the right rear that started a bit of the scramble, but they were able to work through at the very front of the field. You noted that through turn 2, Casey Kerwin, quote-unquote, ran wide, but I think really what he was doing was recognizing that cold tires and aggressive Tony Kanaan just leave a little bit more space. Emery going for a bit of a ride over the sleeping policeman.
Yeah, that's not an ideal move over the sausage curbs there on the exit of turn number 10. Into Sachs curve, this lovely curve through the hairpin. It's cambered in your favour, so you can really just carry a bit more speed than you normally would. Through the penultimate corner and then into the sud curve for the first time. You can really throw the car through here, carry the speed on corner exit, and head towards the Nord curve once again. So that's 1 lap of this tremendous venue. Through turn 1 they go, and it's still Kerwin from Kanaan with Boljazazo in 3rd place. Love 46 is dropping down the order.
I think made a mistake there through turn number 1, but into turn 2, Tony Kanaan again will throw his car to the inside of Casey Kerwin and once again compromise the exit number 95 as they run down this long left-hand sweeper that builds you up in towards that heavy braking zone, and TK is on the hunt.
He knows he doesn't have to make the move straight away, but he's wanting to dictate pace early on here. On the inside, Casey giving him a wide berth. There was some locked tyres back there, and Quirk is involved in that. And don't say that's Emery. He's made contact with his championship rival from last season. Emery is around, she's back up and running again, but drops down to 11th place. Quirk did wait for a while, is now back up and running as well.
Yeah, I don't think Quirk's face looks like what it does on the side of the car right now. Maybe a little bit more frustrated with what happened there. You're going to see handful of other cars squeak their way on through as Quirk is going to redress and drop behind Emery once again. That's now outside of the top 10. I did allude to it earlier, Paul, very quickly. Just wanted to highlight the fact that the first 3 races in this All-Star Series will be in this Porsche Cup car. But after that, 3 races in the Porsche 718 Cayman GT4, 3 races then in the Porsche 911, the outgoing Porsche 911 RSR, before we finish at Monza in the all-electric Porsche Mission R. There is no time for these drivers to really settle into a rhythm. They're always going to be adapting.
That Mission R, by the way, is rapid. I've driven it in a few sessions, and it is a fast vehicle. Let's have a look at what happened then on the replay. So there's Emery just minding her own business. Quirk goes to the inside and just big lock-up, and as soon as you lock up that brake, there's just no stopping the car.
Do remember that this Porsche Cup car does have anti-lock brakes. It's used in certain series, mainly Endurance series and some of the lower Porsche feeder series. However, in the Super Cup, both in the eSports Super Cup and in the real world, ABS traction control are turned off, and you saw Quirk's desperation as he was hoping for that right front to release itself and to just brake normally. It was not to be, but back at the front, TK trying to put the pressure still onto Casey Kerwin, but breaking away from Borja Zazo behind.
Now, Casey was a little bit of a late comer last season into the All-Stars, and then he just really showed the pace that he's got here in these Porsches, and so he's giving it a good go. We've got the race for the lead on the top of his screen, then the race for third, because Borja Zazo, one of the most dapper people in all of sim racing, is currently holding up Matt Malone, and Straddy's not that far behind either. Love 46 will be trying to make amends for that mistake on the end of lap 2, or lap 1 should I say, but still Borja Zazo having to go not quite defensive yet here, but Matt Malone carrying the speed through the final corner, but having to check up out of it.
There are points on the line in both races. We mentioned that there is going to be a full invert, but unlike in the Porsche Tag Car eSports Super Cup, where race 1 and race 2 pay out differently, in this championship they pay out the same. And it always means that with that full invert, there is actually more of a desire for these drivers to fight at the front of the field. They don't want to then have to give up championship points that they then would have to fight their way back up through the field. And Matt Malone, though, trying to get up closer to the wheel and use the suction to close up to Borja Zazo.
Yeah, get your head down, Matt. That'll help out matters as well with the aerodynamics as they go into the braking zone once again. Here's Straddy then from the rear wing. Beautiful shot this, getting to see the lovely curves of this vehicle. Heading out of the hairpin then through turn 7. It's flat out, but you've got to be careful. You've got to get that car all the way over to the right-hand side for 8 into the arena. Slow apex left-hander through 9, which is a nothing corner. 10, clip that apex, let it run out wide, and then you're heading in towards the stadium section. You've got to go past the Porsche Experience Centre on the right-hand side. Borja Zazo, though, oh, he's not in the suit this week. He's gone very casual. Obviously, got some bills to pay with showing off the sponsors here.
He's also got another sim rig behind him. I have one sim rig, but I'm quite jealous of these setups where we've seen multiple sim rigs. Of course, Tony Kanaan and Quirk racing from the same room. Clearly, I think we need to become all-stars, Paul. You've been an all-star before in the IRX series. I clearly need to join the party.
I mean, I haven't even got one sim rig. I'm clamped to a desk. Here's Jardier, by the way. As I say, happiest man in sim racing, although right now, well, he's still got a smile on his face, even though he is quite a bit behind. But he does know that for race number 2, that will actually give him pole position. Will that last place? So yeah, he's got involved in an instance on lap 1, flips the apex curve a bit hard, and he does actually have basic ollie not that far ahead as well, so he could have a bit of company in a few laps. Yeah,
and Yaroslav is someone who people will know, I think, foremost as a streamer, as part of the community, but he is rapid out on track as well, no matter what car that you place him in. Still that smile on his face. Good to see Dave Cam back in the field as well. Not as much of a smile on his face. He's in 12th, only 2 spots in front of Jardier, but at the very tail end of the field. And just look at the dicing in front of him, with Emery getting a great view of Kenny 500 and Heike 360 battling side by side as they work their way into the final sector.
I will still remember seeing Heike 360 winning at Barcelona, the emotion that he showed when he crossed the line, winning in his home track. And well, news coming out of iRacing that we're going to be getting at Jerez is going to be one of the tracks that they're currently working on, so another one of those Spanish tracks. So the Iberian community certainly getting a little bit of love right now. This is the race for 7th place, though. As you see, Heike 360 we're on board with right now. They're behind the wheel. Good selection of wheels stored behind him as well. And Emery trying that recovery drive to work her way through, but not making it past with 8 minutes remaining.
And really the furthest forward that she can look is maybe up to 7th, where currently Dan Suzuki runs. There's then a about 4-second gap up the road to 6th and the fight further forward. Not really seeing them closing just yet, as now we check in with one of the most interesting paint schemes in the field. Not that dissimilar to Quirk's in its uniqueness. We check in with Christian Ortega.
I am a little bit disappointed by his choice of track on the wall there. Laguna Seca, in my opinion, is a vastly overrated track, but that's just my opinion. We see Ortega then, Kenny 500, working through 7 in this pack of cars then, trying to see if there's any way through, but right now there's just nothing happening. And as you mentioned, Arjuna, when you get to this section of the track, really it's follow the leader.
Yeah, we've seen and we will see brave side-by-side attempts, especially I think during our first round of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. But really you're waiting for mistakes like that by Dan Suzuki in the Apex Racing Academy car to just dip his left wheels off into the gravel, slows his momentum and checks the rest of the pack up as they dive in through the final couple of corners. And now it just sets them up all the way into turn 1, turn 2, and then the run into turn 6 to be fighting tooth and nail.
I do love getting the opportunity to see these different rigs that different people have set up at home as well. It's great that they give us this view of the action going on. As looking a little bit further forward then, Borgesar's out, 3rd place, ahead of Stradi, and then Matt Malone and Love 46 together as well. So 4-car train for 3rd place. Casey Kerwin's checked out a little bit at the front then. Gained 1.5 seconds over Tony Kanaan in this race so far. Best lap is a 10th and a half faster than Tony Kanaan as well for Casey. So there's some moves and more moves further back as well, because Emery is involved in this. So too is Dan Suzuki. Contact between the two of them. And this is Heike 360 forcing his way through. And well, Heike 360 doing the job, but Suzuki was trying everything he could to be defensive. And here comes Emily to the inside. Oh, Suzuki's around. Was he helped or did he lose it himself?
Well, Emily Jones wasn't making that corner without the assistance of Dan Suzuki, and so poor Dan is now parked on the outside of turn number 8 and finds himself watching on as the rest of the field drives their way on past. It was aggressive racing, but that's what we know, it's what we love about the All-Stars, and Dan at least can take the consolation that as it runs right now, when we invert the field for the slightly longer race, he'll line up in what is 3rd position. I want to circle back very quickly, Paul. Our chats are not very happy about the fact that you have just thrown Laguna Seca under the bus and called it one of the most overrated tracks in the world.
Hey, I will stand by that opinion, because it is just one person's opinion. It does not mean that it is a fact. Other people can like other tracks, you know, that we're all about diverse opinions here in iRacing, and certainly right now these drivers are giving us some great racing, a bit aggressive as well, must be said. Big dent in the back of Emily's car from that contact with Quirk earlier on in the race here as they go through the Parabolica once again, and using that slipstream with just over 4 minutes remaining. So really, if you want to be making some moves, you need to be starting making them now.
I think we're going to take a look at what happened with that incident with Dan Suzuki getting turned by Emery, and it, of course, all gets set up out of turn number 6. Emery with the recognition that there is going to be some side-by-side trying to set up the exit of the corner, but doesn't immediately commit to the inside, which allows her to be on the outside of turn 7, which would have given her the inside if she was able to hang alongside, but you can just see late under the brakes there was a bit of contact initially. Say goodbye to Dan Suzuki.
It only takes the slightest bit of contact when you're in braking. There's Emily, live pictures then, and well, I know she wouldn't have wanted to have made the move like that, and she was coming from a little bit back, and so contact was made. More moves being made in front, and more contact. These two are going to go through. Quirk and Emily say thank you very much. And, well, that's your 23 of Heike 360 and Kenny 500, both dropping down now. So through that penultimate corner, we said that we were going to see some side-by-side action, and we just saw it right then.
Dave Cam around the outside at turn number 1 as Heike 360 still trying to get back into that racing rhythm. A couple of freebies there, which is always what you want to see if you're watching a close battle in front of you. Of course, I did mention earlier, Paul, side-by-side through the final sector, not always the wisest move. Sometimes commentators do know what we're talking about. I do want to also just call out, now at the front of the field by almost 2 full seconds, Casey Kerwin. Of course, people will know him as the 2022 eNASCAR champion, as Emily Jones back down the inside of Quirk into the hairpin. This time we'll make it stick.
Do you know, we saw these two duking it out last season, and it was so good to watch those two, and it's great to see them back at it again, as we'll get a little bit of a look as well as to what happened in that incident. In the bottom right hand corner of your screen there, you'll see in front the two going side by side into that penultimate corner. Back end slides out, a little bit of side to side contact, and well, Emily and Quirk say, oh, nice couple of freebies right there.
Yeah, absolutely. To go back to the point before we saw Emery try and get down the inside at the hairpin, Casey Kerwin, we all know him as the 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion, but recently jumped over 9,000 road iRating as well, and I've commentated on Casey in a wide variety of road cars. LMP2 at Long Beach is one of his favorite combinations, Long Beach being one of his favorite tracks, but Casey continues to prove, especially coming off his victory at the Clash just a handful of days ago, that you can throw him in anything and he'll find a way to be fast.
Oh, he's an extremely talented driver, and there's been a history on iRacing of extremely talented drivers going between oval and contact with Emily. Around she goes, and that is it's just been from bad to worse for Emily here today. She seems to have a magnet attached to her car, getting involved in all sorts of drama. What that does do is move her to a 12th place now. Dave Cam's losing the position to Kenny 500. We're on to the final lap of the race, it must be worth saying as well. So this is why drivers are getting a little bit excited. Oh, nicely done there, Dave. Parking it on corner exit. Couldn't give Kenny any space. Kenny had to back out of it. And that's Cam going through. That's experience right there, but no, not move there. No move there for turn number 8. They go through 9 into 10. But your leaders are coming towards the end of the lap as well. But these two provided tremendous excitement. Meanwhile, we've barely mentioned him all the way through this race. Casey Kerwin just got a couple of corners to go, and he will see the checkered flag in the opening race, the opening sprint race of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup All-Stars. Your winner is Casey Kerwin across the line. Rest of your drivers coming through, Tony Kanaan and Porsche Zazo, able to hold on to their positions in second and in third place. Dave Cam coming round along in front of Kenny 500 for that 8th place, that hard-fought 8th place. I think there was about 12 people all fought for that place at one point in this race, and those two, well, able to sort it out. But of course, that does mean that our drivers get enough of a race to have a look at that. 3 seconds is the gap between Casey Kerwin and Tony Kanaan at the front, with Porsche Zazo third place ahead of Stradi and Love 46, your top 5. The rest of your field there on the screen as we scroll through to the second page as well. But, well, Arjuna All-Stars, the sprint sprint race is done, now we get the fun part of the full inverted grid.
Yeah, let's stick the fastest guys at the back and make them work their way through all the chaos that we just saw in that opening sprint race of the season, and I can't wait to see exactly how they work their way through. And again, to go back to what we mentioned, I think at the very start of that sprint race, Paul, they get 3 races in this GT3 Cup car, 3 races in the GT4 Cayman, and then 3 races in the 911 RSR before we head to that all-electric Mission R, which, like you described, is an absolute beast, and I can't wait to see how it plays out at Monza.
Yeah, it's an absolute rocket ship, especially at Monza as well. It's going to be tremendous racing with that car. Paul Smith and Arjuna Kankipati here for you for the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports All-Stars. Tremendous to have you all along here with us, and certainly after that exciting first race in the All-Stars, it really does give us a good look at what we're going to see in the main race here in just a few moments. But certainly these drivers they get tremendous opportunity to try again to get the best results here now.
I think we're going to have a quick chat with our first winner of 2023. Casey Kerwin joins us now. And Casey, you're fresh off your win at the eNASCAR Clash at the Coliseum. I'm sure plenty carried over from that here to the Hockenheimring.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was good fun. I led the whole field off the cliff into turn 3. Basically, we all went wide on cold tires. That was a fun experience. But yeah, it was a great race with TK. He was so good on the brakes. It was kind of like seemed like the first sector where all the heavy braking was where he was better than me. And then in the final sector, kind of more flowy stuff, I guess. I pulled back away a little bit there, but yeah, it was super fun. I haven't driven this car in a while, but it's super tricky. But it's kind of fun with, or kind of feels more NASCAR-y in a sense of, I feel like how you have to be easy on the tires and stuff. So I think it helps me there a bit. But yeah, things super tricky. It's hard to get in a rhythm. And I think that showed obviously at the beginning of the race. But yeah, it's super fun to drive, and the feature is going to be pretty crazy.
So you've started to get your sea legs, and now we're sending you to the back of the grid. I'm not sure how much you saw in the rearview mirror, but there was plenty of chaos, plenty of smoke. What's your plan? What are you expecting for this longer race?
Yeah, I'm just going to try and just be smart and stay out of it. I'm not going to try and do any big dives or anything, because like I said, I'm not too confident on the brakes right now, so I'm trying not to send it too hard and cause any issues, but obviously try and pick our way through when we can. So yeah, we'll see how it works out. Hopefully just come out clean and have a good race.
Well, we'll see how it goes. Congrats on one win. We'll see if you can grab another. That was Casey Kerwin, winner of our sprint race in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup All-Star Series. But Paul, we've still got so much racing left to go.
Yeah, we certainly do. And while we're at it, let's have a look at the highlights from that first race. So we saw them down into turn 1, nice and clean there, and then, as Casey alluded to us there, he ran a bit deep into 2. There was a contact further down your order with Jardier getting involved there, Dave Cam as well. Quirk into the back of Emily, and there seems to be sort of a bit of a theme going down into that hairpin, but Quirk, and we see just following Emily. Tony, he tried his best, didn't he, Arjuna, to get past Casey, but not able to get it done.
No, and I think it shows how Casey got more comfortable with the car as the race went on. We're not expecting tires to be a big factor. Dan Suzuki, one that maybe did struggle a little bit with the balance of the car as he started to get swarmed, and of course from there it led to some inevitable contacts. And well, you can just see here as they work their way in towards turn 7, Emily Jones down the inside. We waved goodbye to Dan Suzuki.
Tremendous camera work, I must say, to follow the car around, and there we saw as well Dave Cam making his way through. But your race winner, Casey Kerwin, who went and did the win at the front, but it was drama right at the end of the race as well. Dave Cam involved there with Emily Jones, but yeah, at that final corner, it was Casey Kerwin who took the win in this opening race of the championship. But here is where we are going to be racing for the rest of the season. Next time out, in 2 weeks' time, we head to Manicure for the first time in this championship. The third race you see there, community vote. Keep an eye on social media on both Porsche and iRacing social media this week for further details. And well, you don't want to miss that, that's for sure. Get yourselves involved in that community vote. COTA, Circuit of the Americas. I'm really looking forward to that one. I love that track. It's a great challenge. Rest of the season you can see with our traditional finale at Monza. But we're getting ourselves ready for the feature race, the main race of this race here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup All-Stars, and it is Jardier and Basicoli on the front row of the grid with Emery and Dan Suzuki row 2. Row 3, Heike 360 and Kenny 500. Dave Cam and Quirk on row number 4 with Matt Malone and Love 46 on row number 5. Row 6 for Stradi and Boljazazo. And back row of the grid then, the top 2 from race number 1, Tony Kanaan and Casey Kerwin. So the drivers, once again, will be getting themselves down onto the grid and get themselves prepared. And now, this is an opportunity for some that got involved in incidents in race 1. Jardier being one of those, finished all the way at the back of the field, and with that full inversion, gives them a tremendous opportunity. But the drivers will look up to the gantry now. They see an opportunity for a good result. Patiently waiting on the throttle. Green flags in the air. We're underway once again for your main race. It's a poor start towards the rear, and that means that Matt Malone has dropped all the way down to the penultimate place. But at the front is Jardier from Basicoli through to number 1. Dan Suzuki and Emery are going side by side down in towards turn number 2. Is that going to be a continuation of the battling that those two had through race number 1 into turn 3 and out of it? Everybody so far staying on the grey stuff as they head through the parabolica and look towards the hairpin for the first time. The front 2, a little bit of a breakaway there early on. Jardier and Basicoli and Ollie's going to the inside into the hairpin. Look for any snatched brakes. There is a little bit of a puff of smoke or two, but so far, so good, Arjuna.
Yeah, Dan Suzuki got a monster of a start, but unable to convert that, given he started on the inside, had to try and work his way through turn number 1 safely. It's allowed Emery to take advantage and work her way back up into second. Absolute madness in the mid-packers. I think that's going to be Boljazazo that goes around and loops the rear end. Tony Kanaan and Casey Kerwin, though, have been unable to make their way forward. They're still at the very back.
Yeah, look at this, just 2 by 2. Almost Noah's Ark in it. There's, oh, somebody's off. That's Kenny 500 into the gravel on the exit of Mobile 1 turn. In through Sachs Curve once again for the first time in this main race. And well, Basicoli loving life at the front, but he has got a hard charging Emery right behind. Emily Jones will be looking to get a win here in the main race. Look a little bit further back then. We are on board with Casey Kerwin in towards turn number 1. There is Matt Malone in front. You can see how much of the curb they take on corner exit on 1. That's what you need to do around here. You've really got to be aggressive with that opening curb. But you've got to pick and choose those curbs because some of them do bite back. But well, we're on board with Casey Kerwin. Let's give you a little bit of a buzz, full throttle. Live racing and give you a little bit of buzz, full throttle there. tremendous action out there on track. But certainly, Arjuna, we're seeing some tough battling out there, and it's going tough so far for the race winner from the sprint race, Casey Kerwin. He is, well, he's not able to work his way through at the moment, and I do believe we get to speak to him as well.
Yeah, we're going to disturb Casey Kerwin for the next couple of moments. Casey, you're still in 12th position. Why haven't you been able to work your way forward?
Oh, I hit Matt. Sorry, it's just been really tight. It's tough to pass. We really only have best spot is in the hairpin there, and it's tough to set stuff up for that. But yeah, I think the speed gap's pretty close right now through here. It's starting to stack up. It's gonna start popping off here in a minute. But yeah, the start was pretty chaotic. We never really any hole open. Kind of got checked up a bunch. But yeah, I think we're with the group though. I think we still got plenty of time to work our way forward a bit. I think it's we're pretty far off the lead, but I think we can still maybe fight to like a top 5 or something.
Yeah, I did compare your start in this main race versus the sprint race and noticed you were a little bit more tentative off the line. Were you kind of expecting a bit more drama into turn 1 so you could try and pick your way through?
No, I honestly don't know what I did wrong. I thought I did the same thing, and next thing I knew, I was just spinning the tires all the way to the flag stand. So I don't know what I did wrong there, but that also didn't really help too much. But yeah, we'll see how it works out here.
We're going to let you get back to the racing, Casey. Thank you for letting us disturb you just a little bit. And Paul, it's one of the fun things that we can do in sim racing is distract our drivers out on track.
I know all about that, especially when I did an All-Stars race in IRX with a certain commentator who sat alongside me trying his best to put me off, and it did. Yeah, I know that can be a real challenge, but when you've got somebody as talented as Casey, it's absolutely fine. He's used to having a spotter and having a conversation with a spotter, isn't he, in the NASCAR?
Yeah, spotter's not something that I think, oh, so there was a car very wide through the hairpin. I can only assume that was likely Kenny 500 based on my timing screen. But yeah, that hairpin has definitely been on the trouble spot. Spotter's not something that you traditionally would talk about in most sorts of road racing. But in this Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup, once we get to the World Championship, Paul, I cannot tell you how important the little subtle cues that you will get, not just from your iRacing automated spotter, but from your human manual spotter, just to try and influence what drivers are thinking about and looking for out on track.
Yeah, we saw a couple of seasons ago, as we keep an eye on this race lead continuation of this racing at the front. But you know, we saw how you know, spotters can just G up their drivers a little bit if they're not having the best of times out there. But certainly these drivers now just getting a little bit strung out at the front, actually. Basically, Emery and Jadier at the front, giving themselves a little bit of a breakaway from Quirk and Dan Suzuki as well. So tremendous opportunities out there. Matt Malone, yep, he is in the pits and he is out of the race. So it was Matt actually who got involved in some sort of shenanigans out there. So yeah, real not a disappointment for him, because we know how much of a hard charger he is, but he loves his racing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matt, of course, we're coming up to the iRacing Bathurst 12 hours, where I do hope that we're going to see Matt try and do his solo 12-hour attempt, because that's always something to follow along with and see how it goes. We'll get a look at exactly what happened to him, why he is parked down on pit lane. Of course, it was into that hairpin. We saw the very aftermath in the back, and it was just, well, overcommitting and sending it. And poor Kenny 500 there got a wallop into the right side, but it's Matt that took the biggest damage.
And what's even better is that we get to speak to Matt as well. So Matt, what's your how do you plead?
Well, that was not planned. That was not how we wrote it up. That's in no way indicative of the type of racer I am. I'm sorry, Kenny. We love you, buddy. Now I'm probably banned from his channel, never to be seen from again. No, look, I'm an old man. My vision's all screwed up. I was looking elsewhere. These brakes on these things, it's difficult. Missed my braking point, slammed right into Kenny.
You've got distraction of children as well. You know, there's all sorts of things that could be used as a racing driver excuse out there. But you know, just talked about that sprint race though. You were right in the thick of it, weren't you, for a while?
Yeah, I got a great start. Standing start in these things is a real crapshoot. But for whatever reason, I got a heck of a start right off the bat, past some people, and I found myself in 4th place. And then a couple of issues later, it was a good finish. But yeah, I was right in there with them all. I was like, hey, look at me go, you know, and a track that I struggle with pretty much. But yeah, I did all right that first race. So I had too much confidence heading into the second race is what the issue was.
Well, Matt, we will see you next time out then at Manicure, and all the best for that.
All right, thanks, guys.
So there we go. That's Matt Malone joining us, and here we are with live pictures right now, and we are getting some tremendous action. There's Dave Cam involved in here. There's Heike 360 leading this little train of cars, and Love 46 is there. Casey Kerwin has been moving forward as well, Arjuna, along with Straddy and Tony Kanal.
Yeah, and all of this, again, fighting in the mid-pack is once again allowing a bit of a breakaway at the front, where Basic Ollie, Emery, and Jardier do have a bit of separation. Nothing basic about the pressure that Ollie is feeling right now, if we can be clear. When you've got Emily Jones, when you've got Jaroslav Honzik behind you, that is a pressure-filled situation, even in this Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup All-Star Series. So looking forward to seeing how he's going to defend at the front of the field, and of course looking forward to still seeing how this mid-pack is going to go, because as they were in the sprint race, Paul, they are trying to use all of the track and then some, and all it takes is one mistake for more chaos to be ignited.
Well, these drivers have now got the length of the sprint race to go in this race, so they've still got quite a bit of action to take part in here in this opening round of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup All-Stars. The Super Cup itself will be coming up on the hour, so you do want to stick around for that. That will be some tremendous action there for that one. But right now, a little bit of a defensive move from Dave Cam, and Casey Kerwin lock up of the brakes through on Love 46, and Straddy follows through.
It's so easy to lock that right front as you try and turn in. Of course, you want to try and get the deceleration done in a straight line and be rolling off the brakes when you start to actually turn into the corner. Casey just getting a bit physical and leaning his way on forward, and now behind him has set off a bit of a chain reaction as Love 46 going to now be able to re-grab 9th position from Stradi for the time being. But I think we're going to get the chance now, Paul, to talk with Dave Cam.
Oh yes, Dave is showing his experience throughout this race and giving us some tremendous action in the sprint race. But you've got your work cut out with you now with the race 1 winner.
Definitely. Talk about pressure. If there's somebody you don't want behind you, it's Casey Kerwin, who's an absolute legend on both the oval side and road. But I'm not going to fight him too hard. He might drag us up to Heike. I'm losing these guys here now. Well, we're going to race smart because we're not going to beat him on pace. So
And
hopefully,
that's where I was going to say that's where your experience and your talent and that really comes to the fore. And yeah, just Casey's going past right now. Hook onto that slipstream and drag forward. But you know, how are you been feeling? We've been missing you for 8 months. It's great to have you back in the All Stars.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've loved it. I've really enjoyed it. Everybody's like super quick, and I think I might be the only grandfather racing today. So I'm gonna take that one. Became a granddad a couple of days ago, so I think I'm the only grandfather. So I'm doing it for all the grandfathers out there.
Well, congratulations on that, and also thank you for making me feel like a young man in this commentary booth. But we'll let you go and concentrate on that, Dave. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
As we carry on with the racing action, you can see Casey just pulling away at the front of Dave Cam then. We go off board then and look at this race for the lead, and Emily's just sat there patiently waiting for Basic Ollie to make a mistake, and that mistake is not coming so far.
He's done a sterling job so far to just soak up that pressure and not let it get to him. Couple of major spots where, of course, he's going to be focusing his attention. The exit of turn 2 to get the run in towards the hairpin, and of course that hairpin itself, which leads you in towards 7, 8, 9, and 10. If you can get a good entry, a good exit out of those 2 corners, you can basically set yourself up around the rest of the lap to be in a pretty comfortable position. But you can see that he is feeling a little bit of that pressure. He is just ducking and diving that little bit more than someone who is not worried about the car behind would be doing. And still with 13 minutes to go, Paul, we know that that's a long time here at the Hockenheimring, and of course with Jardier behind, it's still very much a three-way tussle.
I do get the feeling that Jardier's just sat there waiting patiently for something to happen between these two and to try and get an advantage out of any situation that does come forth to him. But right now, Emily, as I say, just really keeping the pressure on here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to get the chance to quickly chat with Emily Jones, who's not feeling the best. Emily, how are you feeling right now, and how are you feeling after that sprint race?
I'm feeling pretty sick right now. It's very early in the morning, but I'm doing okay. I did a bit of murdering in the sprint race, and I got murdered, so, you know, it all swings around, but this is fun. It's good to be racing again.
Yeah, it's been 8 months since we had you in this Porsche All-Star Series. How much fun is it just being able to come out here and have some fun in equal cars and knowing you've got the full invert to spice things up for the second race as well?
Yeah, it's honestly fun to race other content creators. Like, we don't get to do it very often, and all of us have a similar experience, I guess, like kind of just having fun and going for crazy moves and stuff like that. I don't know, I think that the field this year is a lot closer, so it's it's a lot different to the past years.
Still got a lot of racing to go this season. Looking forward to having you in the field, but we'll let you go off and focus on the racing. Self-described murderer, Paul, but with the racing driver excuse of being under the weather.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, to be fair, we'll cut you some slack there to a degree, but yeah, certainly these drivers, and it shows they're having fun out there. We're having fun in here calling this because it's been so much excitement, and it's great to get to speak to the drivers as they're going along as well through all of this racing. But there's Quirk right now, 4th place, and Quirk last lap was not matching the pace of the front three, so I think he's more concentrating on the drivers behind. Speaking of behind, there's a dive going down the inside into the hairpin. Well, I don't know if there's going to be a big cloud of smoke in the background. No, there isn't. So we're all safe. Everybody's still going in all of that. But, well, certainly the man who was the champion from last season, 4th place, not being an ideal start in that opening race but certainly giving us a good bit of entertainment here.
No, but Quirk was part of the murderer and murdering club, if I remember correctly, so he's also been on both sides of the equation. Now, the send that I think we saw was from the person that Quirk is racing alongside. I think that was Tony Kanaan just absolutely sending it like he was in Indianapolis, trying to make the move at the Hockenheimring. Optimistic, but he made it work.
Yeah, certainly did make it work, and is 8th place right now for Tony Kanaan. And well, speaking of TK and also Quirk, they're joining us in the booth here, so we get to distract 2 people here, Arjuna.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with you, Tony. How weird is it, how unique is it being able to race against someone while racing next to them? Quirk, how about for you? Does real Tony Kanaan compare to cardboard Tony Kanaan? It looks like you're having a bit of an issue.
Things are getting a little crazy right now. Hang on a second. I'm going one-on-one with Heike. No, things are great. Hang on. One second.
For those that wonder what
I'm gonna miss it.
IRX was.
No, things. I tell you, I think the cardboard Tony is faster than the real Tony, but that's just my opinion.
Paul, you've got the calm, cool, real race driver, and then the much more excited, much more frenetic streamer racing from the same place.
Yeah,
It's great though. That's what this is all about. It's a good community, and I think it's a lot of fun. And I think DK's mic is picking everything up.
Well, this is certainly some of the best fun that we've had for a while. But Tony, you know, you were fighting hard in race number 1 for the win. This race, it's been a bit tough to come through the field.
Yeah, it's been a hard fight. I have to try to pass Suzuki here to get to Quirk and try to beat him and then make fun of him at the end here. But just trying to save tires. I mean, Casey was really quick. I had nothing for him, so I decided to settle for second.
All right, well, chaps, we'll let you carry on and concentrate in this one. But we've done our best to try and mix things up.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
So there we go. That's one of the more entertaining interviews that I think I've ever done, Arjuna, mid-race. But certainly they're giving us some tremendous action out there.
Yeah, not all sim racers are calm, cool, collected professionals, it turns out, like we're going to see in, just about 10 minutes' time. Sometimes they can be a little bit more frenetic, Quirk giving us a good experience of what it's like when I am behind the wheel and doing some driving. But back at the front, still not cracking under this pressure. Basic ollie, 6.5 odd minutes to go by the time that they'll cross the line. The laps are ticking down. Emily Jones under the weather, but running out of opportunities to get to the front.
By my reckoning, there's about 4 laps remaining when we cross the line here in just a second. Between the front two, who've been hardly separated by more than half a second for the last 20 minutes or so. So definitely these drivers having a tremendous duel at the front. I think there's a little bit of a sort of ceasefire at the moment whilst they're going along. But I think going into that last 3 or 4 minutes is when things will really start to pick up between the two of them. But certainly Jardier, as I say, loitering with intent behind them here, and well, we get a basic ollie on board right now, Arjuna.
Yeah, we're going to chat with the man on debut in the Porsche eSports Supercup All-Star Series, doing pretty well at the front here.
Oh yeah, and I'm absolutely sweating it. I've tried so hard. I've tried so hard. Get Emery all over the back of me. It's really difficult.
Yeah, you've got two pretty feisty competitors, not just known for content creation, but their competitive driving as well, Emily Jones and Jaroslav Honzik. You're enjoying this first outing in the All-Stars, but of course, you've got to be thinking with 5 minutes on the clock still, you've got a chance of holding off here.
But I'm seeing at the same time, my lap times are dropping because I feel like the tyres are just starting to fade on me now, so I'm a little bit concerned, if I'm being honest.
Having to work that car hard. We'll let you go, we'll let you focus on holding on to the lead of the race because it's been a spectacular debut so far. And
Thank
still
you.
with the chance of grabbing a victory, but you can just see behind Paul how Emily Jones is maximizing the track, and that car is looking aggressive.
It certainly is, as we just go from that one big switch there from Ollie. Able to carry on though and hold on to that lead, but Emily, that's exactly what she's looking for. Those little mistakes, those little chinks in the armour. And it's interesting to hear that from Ollie then, just to hear that the tyres are just starting to go off on them. This longer race, this main race here, 27 minutes of action. And well, these drivers certainly are pushing things to the limit, but the front three, they've got a nice gap back to them, about 4 seconds back to Casey Kerwin. Kerwin has done a fantastic job to come from 14th place. Here's a look from Emily. None forthcoming. There's the race for 6th below as well, because Tony Kanaan is trying to get involved in all of that. That's over 7th place with Dan Suzuki. Working just in front of them in that one. Quirk will try and run away, but Tony, he wanted to get to Quirk in all of this because he wants to prove who's the better race driver.
And I think we are going to see that fight in these closing stages. I was talking with Riley Dickinson, a driver in the Porsche Carrera Cup North America last year, and one thing that he said to me, Paul, that I really took to heart was, of course, these are cars which don't have much downforce, of course, no driver aid as well, and so momentum obviously is very important. But tires are something that are also very important. Now, Basic Ollie saying that 20 odd minutes in, he's starting to feel them go off, and he's starting to feel the negative effects of tire wear. That's something that we should be keeping in mind as we work our way over these next couple of races to be able to compare the Hockenheim versus Magny Core versus our community voted track, how much the tires are being impacted. Drivers will be quite glad that they don't have to shell out $12,000 for a set of 4 Michelin tires, though.
Yeah, certainly that is one of the benefits of sim racing here, is that you don't have the bill that comes along with running one of these race cars. And look at TK to the outside of Dan Suzuki on that bottom picture, trying to get the cut back here through 2. That's a brilliant move if he can make that stick around the outside of 3. And Tony Kanaan moving up to 7th place in this race right now, and he's got Quirk in his sights in front. Meanwhile, for the race lead, Emily Jones is running out of laps. She's got about a lap and a half remaining in this race. Basic Ollie just needs to hang on for that time as a lock-up from Dan Suzuki.
Yeah, what a way to start off, not just on debut, but in iRacing colours as well for Basic Ollie in that 37, and to have held off this pressure so far. Still, of course, that lap or so to go. Casey Kerwin's had a quiet day in this main race, working his way from the back of the field, even with our interruption to climb his way up into 4th, and very much has a stranglehold on that one as well. So he's looking like he'll set himself up the best in terms of our point standings that we're, of course, going to track over the course of the 10 races. But here we go, Paul, building to the final lap of round 1 in the All-Stars.
So, as we go through the penultimate corner into the Sud curve for the penultimate time, it is Basic Ollie versus Emily Emery, and 1 lap to decide it all. This is all to decide who gets the main race victory. Ollie kicking the curb, Emily not doing so. A little bit of weaving into the brakes of turn number 2. Emily looking forward. She wants to get a good run out of 2 through 3, because this is where the slipstream can really count. It's your best overtaking opportunity as we plunge on through the Parabolica. Head towards the hairpin for the final time in this race. Look for the braking spot. There goes Emily looking to the inside. She's late. Too late on the brakes. Where's Jardier in all of this? He comes through to the lead. Jardier leads this one over Basic Ollie. Emily Jones quite correctly gives the place back to Ollie, but Jardier, I said he was loitering with intent. He's there in the lead.
Last lap, Emily Jones had to go for the move, not for the first time today. A little bit of contact for Emily Jones. The seas parted for Jaroslav Honzik, who gets ready to take the race win here at the Hockenheim. And you can see he's smiling and he's happy once again.
He was down at the back of the field in the sprint race. He was punted and started all the way back there. But then race number 2, the main race, comes through the final couple of corners here, and he will soon see the checkered flag. Just the Sud curve to go here. Just got to make it around the corner. Ollie runs wide behind, but never mind that, because Jardier is a sprint race winner here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup All-Stars. You can see the joy on his face and what it means to him. Basic Ollie does finish in 2nd place after all, with Emily Jones in 3rd place. Casey Kerwin moving through the field into 4th place with that one. We'll get a look at our results in just a moment's time, but you can see how happy Jardier is there.
And all he did was wait. He waited. He knew that it was going to be difficult to get on past, but Paul, what a opening round we've had.
Yeah, let's go to the Buzz post-race show then here in the All-Stars. And what a result then for Jardier. Good things come to those who wait, and that's certainly what we saw there. Jardier winning over Basic Ollie by 1.1 seconds. Emery, 3rd place, finishing off the podium after that contact at the hairpin on the last lap. Casey Kerwin and Heike 360 rounding out the top 5. You see the rest of your field, and then I know we will get very, very brief chat with our race winner in just a moment's time here. But my goodness, that was absolutely sensational. Dramatic end to the All-Stars sprint race here. And, well, Arjuna, why don't you take it away with Jadier?
I think we're still waiting to see if Yaroslav Honzik is standing by. I know he can hear us.
Yeah, hello!
Well, Yaroslav, you were meant to be racing earlier. Plans changed, I think, slightly. So now you got to refocus in on this. How did you enjoy this opening round of the championship?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, honestly, after the first race, I was so sad because, obviously, I was trying to be as careful as possible, but I still got collected. And this race was just, like, that bit of luck I really needed to, like, end this first round, like, with a proper smile, you know?
Still got a couple more races in this GT3 car. We get the GT4, the GTE, and then the Mission R. Which car are you most looking forward to over the 10 weeks?
I honestly, like, I love the Cup car so much. It's such a brilliant car. I think it's also, like, one of the newest, right, in iRacing. It's so good. I really do like it. And I never, ever drove the Mission R, so I'm curious to see that.
You'll be looking forward to Monza then. Congratulations on the victory here, Yardier, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you, guys.
So there we go. That is the end of our All-Stars coverage. Tremendous to have everyone with here. Do stick around, though, because next coming up is the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. We'll see you in just a moment's time.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Chain swinging, clang clang, and it costs a lot. I'm always at the guala, yeah, and you are not bad. Keep on going till you hit the spot. Whoa. Whoa, I'm a big bag hunter with the bow.
This is virtual racing with real stakes. This is fine lines, milliseconds, and 200 grand. This is insane. But that's what keeps us coming back for more. The Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup by iRacing starts February 4th, live on YouTube and Twitch.
Green flag, and we are off for the sprint race in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup.
$200,000 on the line. Who will rise to the challenge? This is racing for immortality. This is esports personified. This is the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup.
Well, it is 8 months since Diogo Pinto was crowned champion of 2022. Well, we're here for a new season of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup, coming to you from the opening round here at the Hockenheimring. My name is Paul Smith. Alongside me is Arjuna Kankapati, and what a All-Stars that was to get things warmed up. But now the main event is on the rise.
Yeah, now business picks up, and it's all about World Championship status, Paul. And this is a series that has undergone a lot of change over the last 4 years as we enter the 5th edition. Only 5 drivers have competed in every single season of this championship. Lots of rookies looking to stake their name, veterans of the series looking to establish their place, and we do it once again starting here in Germany.
We do have 2 of our champions then. Sebastian Job, our 2020 champion, and well, last year's champion, Diogo Pinto, and let's see how he did that. It's time for the championship finale here at Monza. Round number 10 from Monza. Revs will rise. Green flag, away we go, and it is a good launch from Sebastian Job from the front row of the grid. Pinto tries to follow him, but Charlie Collins is right there in front of him, and here comes Job then on Charlie Collins in towards turn number 1, giving each other space, a little squeeze from Collins,
that's wrong.
and Job's wide.
Defensive. Oh, who's off there? Is that Pinto? It's Benica. It's Benica. Okay, so Benica's going around. Pinto's going to hold.
Collins and Warren, how close are they going to be across the line? It's going to be a dead heat almost across the line. Job finishes 3rd ahead of Ellis Jr. Then this is what we've all been waiting for. The final feature race here. Green flag. Away we go for the final time this season. Terrible start for one of the Apex cars. I believe that was half. But Job and Pinto still side by side. There's contact. Goebbels off.
And more contact in behind. I think that's Ellis Jr. Kevin's out of this one. He's gone all the way back. Pinto managed just barely to sneak by. Yeah, Kevin Ellis Jr. That's massive. He's out of this one already, and you can see it on his face. He knows what it means.
And it is Alejandro Sanchez who is in the lead. 27 points between Sebastian Job and Diogo Pinto. Using the slipstream of Sanchez, but he's getting boxed in by Sebastian Job. That's clever thinking by Job. Now map for these two. So contact, a little bit of rubbing in towards the Retifilio for the final time. There's a rub and a kiss. Job, he's done everything that he can here in this feature race to take the win here, but coming across the line to take the 2022 Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup Championship, Diogo Pinto from Portugal. So that is how Diogo Pinto was able to win that championship in that dramatic finale. And well, what a venue to start the season in Arjuna, Hockenheim.
Yeah, opened back in 1932. The plans actually approved on Christmas Day in 1931 for a 12-kilometer long triangle track. It's undergone so many changes since then to what we know today. 4.5 kilometers, 17 turns, and very, very flat. Of course, you blast down from the start into the right-hander of turn 1, but it's really the exit of turn 2 which is going to be the main talking point, getting the power down and building the momentum up into the hairpin, the primary of the passing opportunities, but we're ready for qualifying.
Yes, we are, and the drivers get 1 lap to set a lap time here, and well, it's a change of qualifying format for us this season, and well, the first, basically anybody who finished 6th or lower last season or as a newcomer to the championship for this round will be starting in 1 group, and then in the next group then it is 1 by 1, 5th through to 1st from the standings. And as we say, for this first opening race, those orders go by those 2022 standings. So the last driver that we'll see putting a qualifying lap time in will be Diogo Pinto.
Yeah, and the important thing to note is we're doing in effect a hyperpole qualifying, right? We're going 1 by 1 at the very end and whittling them down. However, you get the track to yourself. You're not so worried about where others are, how they've been tire conditioning on a warm-up lap, for example, or on an out lap if they've made a mistake. Track is to yourself. But with just 1 lap, there is a lot of unknowns. It's not just about hitting your own marks as a driver, but like I said earlier, the tire conditioning and things like this. Some of the drivers have indicated to me, Paul, that they think they could have a variance run to run in qualifying of 0.3 of a second. It's all about making sure that you're on the right side of the 0.3 on that one crucial lap.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is Diogo Pinto. So actually, the fastest ones are the ones actually starting first in qualifying, coming completely the opposite way to the order that we expected them to be in. So there's Pinto then. He's going to be one of the earliest out there to be able to put some lap times in as he goes through turn number 2, through 3 into 4, and then down this long sweeping left-hander. You can see those lap times on the left-hand side of the screen. Jordan Caruso currently the fastest out there. But Sanchez second, Bico third. The rest of them though, onto the brakes. Pinto looking further down as well. Good to see Bobby Zelensky back in the series. He's in 18th. Cooper Webster are impressed last season. Well, he's in 16th right now. As another time comes in, that's Charlie Collins putting in a time. So up into second for Charlie, and these times are coming in thick and fast now for this final group.
Yeah, and don't forget there are points on the line in qualifying. 10 points for first, second get 8, 6 points for third, 4 for fourth, and then 2 points for fifth spots. And of course that sets the grid for the sprint, when we then also have our invert that sets the grid for the feature. So plenty of excitement, I think, for these drivers about what is now a very different qualifying format. The question will be for those that really impressed us last year, how can they adapt to the changes? A year more knowledge in this car after it debuted at the start of 2022. Understanding now what to do in this qualifying is going to be paramount.
Well, there goes Zach Campbell across the line. What does his time do? He goes in 6th, but Diogo Pinto goes in 2nd place then. Your reigning champion, reigning and defending champion, Diogo Pinto into 2nd. The final driver here at the moment who's out there on track to get ourselves a lap time in is Sebastian Job. And he's coming through this arena section right now, heading in towards the stadium section, the old traditional stadium section around here. Through the right-hander, throw it in there. Get the car nicely through. Don't get yourself an off-track penalty. Don't get yourself any sort of penalty at all on this lap, because anything at all will invalidate your lap, and I think there has been a few drivers who have had invalidated laps. But through the final couple of corners goes Sebastian Job. Can he get himself to the front of the field? Touch of the gravel there on corner exit, across the line, and he goes 5th.
You were correct, Paul. Gustavo Ariel, rookie to the series, Maximilian Beneca, and then Johan Harth, 3 drivers that invalidated their lap times, along with Christopher Dambit. So 4 drivers with this one-shot qualifying were unable to put together the lap with the pressure, and they'll start from the very back of what is going to be a chaotic 30-cost tumble into turn number 1.
Yeah, we will be able to give you your starting grid soon, so you won't miss a thing here. But yeah, Paul Smith, Arjuna Kankapati here for this season, and it is the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup, round number 1 of 2023, and we've seen a real mix-up of drivers up there, and one that I'm excited to see at the front, Jordan Caruso, and well, that is certainly a tremendous lap time from him.
And he is the first of our Tag Heuer Pole Award winners. And of course, the driver that walks away with the most pole positions at the end of the season will grab a Tag Heuer connected watch as well. So not just the championship points, but there's some bragging rights and a prize to go along with being the king of qualifying.
Yep, certainly. So far in championship history, of those drivers that are racing this season, Sebastian Job has the most pole position. So Jordan Caruso, congratulations, your first ever pole position for the young Australian out there, and it's not by a small amount either, a couple of tenths of a second between him and defending champion Diogo Pinto. Charlie Collins up there in 3rd place as well, so a real mix-up of drivers, but Jordan setting the stall out early here.
No, absolutely, and I think Jordan is a is part of now an expanded Altus lineup, right? You've got Simona Maria Marchena. You've also got Oscar Mangan as part of that Altus trio in this championship. So he's got a little bit more support than he maybe had last year. Let's see how that plays out for him. I think we're also going to be quite interested. But one thing that I think has been a bit of a shift in the last 3 years is the fact that a couple of years ago, this championship had 40 cars. Last year, 35, and this year, 30. It's a very different complexion.
And if you do want to keep up to date with everything here in this series and the All-Stars as well, then do go and check on out iRacing.com/PESC for all the details on that. And whilst you're on iRacing.com, and if you're not a member already, well, between you and me, there's currently 40% off all new memberships for iRacing. Head on over to iRacing.com for details about that, and do get yourself a membership. As I say, 40% off all new members. And remember, every day's a race day here on iRacing, and we'll be tremendous to see you all join us. And who knows, you could find yourself in a championship like this in a few years' time. But with that all said, let's have a look then at your starting grid. It is Jordan Caruso and Diego Pinto who share row number 1. Charlie Collins and Alejandro Sanchez sharing row number 2, with Sebastian Job and Alessandro Bico on row number 3. The 4th row is Zach Campbell and Salva Talons, with Lassie Bach and Alexei Nesov. Kevin Nielsen and Moreno Sarica, row number 6. 7th row is Oscar Mangan and Tunas Tetela, with Matthias Stuckbeck and Sam Keiter, row number 8. For the 9th row is Gianni Vecchio and Jamie Fluke. 10th row of the grid is Oscar Ryan, with Cooper Webster, Julian Sonnen and Bobby Zelensky, Quentin Violette and Simone Maria Marchena. Bryn Collins and Luca Kita, with Max Benneker down in 14th row. He will not be happy with that. Gustav Aurelio and also Ewan Hart and Christopher Dambit round out row number 15. 30 cars on our grid. As you mentioned, Arjuna, we've seen that slowly come down, but we're getting ready for the start. What's the key thing that's going to be important for Jordan Caruso here?
I think just getting a good launch. Casey Kerwin said he did the same thing in the sprint race and the main race with our All-Stars and got 2 totally different outcomes. For Caruso, he has got to lead into turn number 1, knowing that he's got the defending champion alongside. He's got Charlie Collins and Alejandro Sanchez behind him. Charlie Collins, maybe the focus for Coanda eSports, Coanda Sim Sports here in 2023. And you've got Alejandro Sanchez with Kevin Ellis Jr. and Peter Berryman stepping back from the Porsche eSports Supercup. Sanchez is now the talisman that the Apex Racing team, in their new partnership as well, that they've got with Stormforce Racing, that is the driver that is going to be looking to push them forward.
We are getting ready for the green flag then, and in fact away we go for the start of this one. In towards turn number 1 they go. Caruso gets a good launch from the start. Pinto second, with Charlie Collins in third as we head on through corner number 1. There's a car off in the distance. I think it's the BS competition car of Oscar Reiner, but in towards turn 2 then. We're going 3 wide in the mid-pack, but at the front it's still Jordan Caruso who leads this one, and then it's carnage, absolute carnage behind, 2 cars off. I think Kevin Nielsen was one of those, and Thomas Tetela was the other.
Yeah, on debut for Heroic, Tumas Tatela goes around, but into the hairpin. The defending champion throws it to the inside. Caruso, under pressure, will throw it wide, and here comes Charlie Collins to look for the race lead.
Yeah, Collins and Pinto going side by side through turn number 7. They're heading towards the arena here. Collins, he can hang it around the outside of this left-hander, but decides against it there. 9 laps of action here, and it's coming thick and fast because Pico and Sanchez, they're together right now, and Zach Campbell is trying to work his way through as well, and the young American making his way up into 6th place. It's been chaotic on the opening lap here, but as we head on into Sachs Curve, it's a move to the inside for Charlie Collins, forcing Pinto wide. He's got him backed off of that one. Here comes Job, your 2020 champion, coming through. My goodness, who wants to lead this one? Nobody seems to want it at the start, but through the final corner, it's Job and Collins absolutely neck and neck as they come across the line. Here we're on board with Pinto. He's got the best seat in the house. Look to the inside of Job. Thank you very much. That's back up to 2nd place.
Welcome to the 2023 Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. If this is what we're in for, this is going to be insane. Pinto back to the race lead, but I'm not expecting that to last for very long. Sebastian Job gets a great run out of turn 2 now, tries to use the draft to his advantage as we filter back down through the left-hand sweep of the Parabolica, getting ready to launch onto the anchors one more time.
Look at the defensive line taken by Pinto. Job had to back out of that. You've got Sanchez looking to the inside of Mangan, your pole sitter. Job's 3 wide, he's been hung out to dry. And thank you very much. Alejandro Sanchez says he's through in that Stormforce Racing ART car, up into 3rd place for the Spaniard. So right now it's the Portuguese driver of Diogo Pinto ahead of the young Welshman Charlie Collins, and then Alejandro Sanchez, the Spaniard, in 3rd place. Jordan Caruso 4th ahead of Sebastian Job. We've got cars running wide. That was Zach Campbell on the exit of turn number 10. This action is coming thick and fast here in this opening sprint race of the championship. And my goodness, it's certainly entertaining to watch here in the commentary booth. But Job right now, he'll be feeling a little bit hard done by getting hung out to dry at the hairpin. But your defending champion has already got half a second at the lead.
Yeah, now we'll settle into the rhythm, I think, a little bit more. The nerves of starting the campaign off, likely in the rearview mirror, it's how you settle in. Settling in quite nicely, Maximilian Benecke, after his disappointing qualifying performance on debut for his new team, no longer with Team Redline, now with Mouse Esports, a major esports organization. He's up to 20th, 7 positions gained, but we saw Tony Kanaan in the All-Stars, and he will be delighted to see that his driver in the TXC Racing by TK number 21, Gustavo Ariel, is up 12 positions to where he sits in 16th spot. Plenty of opportunities for drivers like Benecke to work through the madness.
Yeah, Max, you can tell he will make some moves in this race. You can tell Gustavo Ariel trying to make the moves, and Sonnen will sat down the inside with the cars around. It's chaos. Sam Keitet's off to the left-hand side. Oh no, and Alexei Nesov is another one that was involved in all that. Gianni Vecchio has taken a turn back to the pit lane and his race is done. So too is Sam Keitet and all of that. We'll have to pick all of that apart at some point. But Pinto still at the head of your field, half a second ahead of Charlie Collins and Alejandro Sanchez. Things have calmed down at the front, but in that mid-pack, it's got a bit chaotic.
Yeah, and it started with Gustavo Ariel taking it 3 wide as he tried to look his way on past. Then Gianni Vecchio locks up the brakes. That's what causes the teal wheels of one of those Urano eSports cars. I think that was Sam Keitet to go around. Not ideal. And for Gianni Vecchio, he was not expecting much here today, Paul. Came in rather injured, fell down some stairs at work, and as laughable as it may sound, did sustain some quite significant injuries. I think he'll be glad that at least for 5 laps, he can get out of his sim rig, relax a little bit before stealing up to do it all over again in the main race.
I know what it's like to race when injured. I mean, not at this level. This is an entirely different thing. At such a high competitive level, any sort of injury or niggle or anything like that will compromise you when all the cars, all the times are so closely matched out there. Here we look at the race for 13th then, further down your field. Bobby Zelensky is involved in this, having a look to the inside of Julian Sonnen, and behind him as well, Max Benecke, Cooper Webster, Johan Ha. They are getting involved in all of this shenanigans, and Cooper Webster, as I said, he impressed last season. Of course, a driver who races in full metal racing as well as virtual, and he's not having the best of starts here this season.
No, but I think in general we are seeing some interesting stories that have come out of that race start. I don't think they're trends that are necessarily going to hold over the course of the season. Best of the rookies so far in what is a rather interesting rookie class is Lasse back in the Fire Simsport number 24. He runs in the 8th position right now, and that's a driver that, Paul, you and myself saw running extremely well in the qualifying series, extremely well in contender series, and now Fire Simsport looks to make their stamp on the World Championship.
Yeah, they certainly are trying to do that. There's Sam Keitet, and well, Arjuna take it away with the driver out the race.
Sam, second year in the series. You had some teammates as part of Urano this time around. It's not started the way you would have wanted.
Nah, not really. We already saw it was really hectic around us. Everyone going for gaps that basically weren't there all the time. But yeah, the dive was a bit too deep from Johnny. I think he knows that himself as well, and was quite some guys to race. I think it's shit saying it that way, but yeah, it's how fast is. And we'll just continue in the main race and the next one the season.
Like I said, you do have some teammates, Luka Kita, Alexei Nesov, technically rookies this year, but we know they are no rookies in terms of racing experience. How has it been like being able to prepare with them for this season versus what you had back in 2022?
Yeah, on that, like, of course, last year I did everything on my own, and to have some teammates and a bit of reference beside it, really chill to have. Also on setup wise, that you can confirm things for each other, it's just helpful, and I think that will help over the whole season as well compared to last year.
Thanks for joining us, Sam. You still got one race to look forward to. We'll let you go and get ready.
Thank you, man. Have a good race.
There we go then. That's the driver, one of the drivers out the race. Apologise if there was any industrial language in all of that, but we are focusing at the front of your field. Diogo Pinto then 0.6 of a second ahead of Charlie Collins right now. I think they're quite settled at the moment, but with 4 laps to go, there's still plenty of action here in the sprint race. And don't forget, it's the top 8 that get inverted here for the grid of the feature race, and that would actually be that driver Lasse Bach that we mentioned there, Arjuna, who would be in prime position for the feature.
The sprint race, so the one that we're in right now, pays out at the front of the field half the points that the main race does. So as you think about the championship, remember you get points for getting pole position. That would leave you at the front of the sprint race field, but do you really want to be in 8th position at the start of the feature race or the main race? I think that's a much more delicate proposition rather than being at the front of that second race start. It's a lot of nuance to this championship, and the fantastic thing about it, Paul, is we're going to land up in Monza and hopefully, just like we did last year, have 3 or 4 drivers still in with a chance of grabbing the crowd.
Yeah, this should be a tremendous season of action here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. And, well, I mean, we saw the consistency was key last season there. You see the triple box, race for the lead, big and centre at the top, and then the 2 smaller boxes, race for 8th and race for 16th. But, as I say, consistency was key last season. Diogo Pinto only actually got 1 race win across the entire season, and yet still won the championship, which shows that you need to be in the top 10 consistently throughout the season.
Yeah, and I get the sense that we're going to be in for something similar this year as well. I think one thing that I kind of expected coming into this race was, if I can just be honest, to see Sebastian Job at the front in qualifying. Especially with some of the drivers that have left the series. I always dubbed Josh Rogers the king of qualifying. I thought it was Seb's spot for this year to take and to move forward with the one-shot qualifying. We've seen him be quite good in qualifying in the Porsche eSports Carrera Cup Great Britain. Lots of changes to come. Watching that battle for 16th, by the way, has one of the Apex Racing cars of Johan Haas trying to fight his way forward. He's fighting with fellow Frenchman Julian Sutton.
And look at the 8th battle as well ongoing. It's Salva Talons and Lasse Bach, and Talons just losing out on that one. Made the move into the hairpin and not able to get 8th for the time being, but there is still time left in this race. There's still about 2 laps at the line remaining, so Bach is not out of this one yet. He's not got it easy. He's not got 8th place sewn up, and remember that 8th place gives you pole position for the main race here in this event. So that is why you're seeing Lasse Bach doing all they can to hold on to that place.
And he's got Salva Talons behind, who is hungry. MSI and the Apex Racing team partnered up in 2020. It led to Alejandro Sanchez leaving MSI to join the Apex Racing team, I think 2 years ago. Now, to start 2023 off, Salva Talons has made that jump as well, coming off a victory in the iRacing Daytona 24 Hours in the Apex Racing team GT3 machine, and look at how feisty it is. But he's made a small mistake. Fortunately, he's got a teammate, Jamie Fluke, there who won't capitalize too much and cost him a whole bunch of time. We've got just 2 laps left to go.
Oh, but remember, even though you've got teammates out there, it's every person for themselves out there on track here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup team orders. Now, we don't have them in this series, as through behind them, Caruso and Job, they are racing each other as well, as we focus on that lead race, and Charlie Collins has got the bit between his teeth, has closed right on up now to Diogo Pinto in front, and with them coming to the stripe to start the white flag lap, I wouldn't write out Charlie Collins for a race win yet.
No, absolutely not. This is a driver that has grabbed victories in the past, 2 sprint race victories and then the 1 main race victory as well. But after getting 3rd in 2021 in the championship on debut, slipped back to 5th last year, and it goes back to that thing on consistency. Charlie Collins just sometimes unable to stay out of trouble, which is a skill. Sometimes it needs luck, sometimes it needs skill, but he's starting off putting the pressure onto Diogo Pinto. 1 lap left to go in the sprint race.
Yeah, Barney waving the white flag, meaning that this is the start of that last lap. Then look at the speed that they're both carrying through turn number 1. Pinto feeling the need to just come off of line just a second, just to try and break that draft behind him. But Collins, the young man from Monmouthshire, is going to be carrying on and trying to get the best opportunity down towards the hairpin, and Pinto was thinking about trying to break that draft, decides now to just hold the line. Collins looking, he's too far back to make that move into the hairpin, so no move forthcoming yet. But you can see that concertina effect through the apex of that corner. Collins doing all that he can as we're right on board with the youngster in towards the arena for the final time. It is Pinto, Collins, they've run away from Jordan Caruso behind, who's in 3rd place. These two, they know what it's like to race against each other. Collins doing his best. I think time has run out for him though in this one, because Pinto has got enough of a gap to just be slightly comfortable, but will still be on edge through Sats curve for the final time here in this sprint race. Just a couple more turns to go, and your reigning and defending Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup champion, he's going to start the season off in 2023 with a race win here across the line for Diogo Pinto. Rest of your field crossing the line. Lassie back does hang on to that 8th place, which is crucial for pole position in the main race coming up in just a few moments' time. But Arjuna, what a opening round of the championship.
I mean, if that's how we started, think about how we may finish as it continues to bubble and build over the course of the next 10 rounds. So much excitement, and at the front, our champion starts out on top.
Pinto from Collins and Caruso is your podium, with Sanchez, Job, Campbell, Biko and Back will be starting on pole position for race number 2, with Talons and Fluke just finishing outside that top 8. Sarika and Beneker able to move his way forward through the field. Gustavo Overell in 13th place ahead of Bobby Zelensky. Julian Salonen with Hart. Webster, Kita, Marcheno and Rena round out your top 20. Rest of your field you see on screen, including the 2 cars who did not finish, Sam Kaita and Gianni Vecchio. And well, we'll hopefully in just a few moments time be able to speak to your race winner, but well, Arjuna, that was certainly an exciting start, and in fact your race winner is going to be joining us. Arjuna, take it away.
Yeah, defending champion didn't qualify at the front, but fought his way through what was a rather interesting opening couple of laps. Diogo, how did you think your championship defense was going to start off fighting wheel to wheel like that in the opening couple of laps?
Yeah, well, luckily I managed to put a decent lap, still quite a bit far off of Jordan. Maybe there was something there on the outlap that I missed. But yeah, the race was good. I went on an attack. I saw the space in lap 1. And after that, yeah, I thought it was okay in P1. Now let's manage things. But then I got dive bombed into the stadium section. But luckily, it wasn't too bad for me. I managed to recover 3 positions and win the race.
We saw you be very consistent last year, not always at the very front, but in the thick of the action. You started off with a victory here to start the season off. What are your plans and expectations for the rest of the campaign?
Well, obviously, for me, I want to win the championship again, but I won it last year, so there's a little bit less pressure for me now. So my goal is to just enjoy the racing, hopefully have some clean races and win races pretty much. Let's see now with the reverse greedy stuff. The likelihood of having a shunt at the start is higher, but I'll try to keep it clean, and maybe a top 7 or top 8 would be pretty good, since with the sprint race win, it's already good points.
Well, already got a whole bunch of points. I think 33 points on the board. Go off for the second race, and we'll maybe talk to you soon.
Yep, thank you.
Well, that is your race winner from the sprint race, but stick around with us because the main feature race is going to be coming up in just a few moments' time.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Chain swinging, clang clang, and it costs a lot. Them always at the guala, yeah, and you are not bad. Deep, keep on going till you hit the spot. Whoa. Whoa, I'm a big bag hunter with a bow.
It is race weekend number 1 here in the 2023 season. Arjuna, well, we saw plenty of carnage and chaos in the opening salvos of that race, and then it calmed down at the front, but the excitement carried on towards the back.
It was pretty clean at the very front of the field through the opening couple of corners as well. It wasn't until we hooked a left through turn number 4 that we started to see a bit of drama. Pole position winner Jordan Caruso went deep thanks to a move by Diogo Pinto and Charlie Collins behind them. You could just see 3 wide. And then the brawl at the front over those opening 3 laps. 2 wide, 2 rows deep, Noah's Ark formation, and somehow they all made it work.
Yeah, they certainly did. And, well, we saw tremendous action all the way through that opening of the race, and Pinto certainly enjoyed that one, getting the race win in the end. There was that contact down at the hairpin with Gianni Vecchio, but the sprint race was done. We're now going to be heading ourselves into the main race here, and well, these drivers will get themselves double the length of that sprint race. 18 laps to decide themselves who is going to be taking away the honours in this opening round of the 2023 Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. Here is the grid then for you. Lasserbach and Bico on the front row of the grid with Campbell, Job, Sanchez and Caruso, row number 3. Collins and Pinto, your race winner from the opening, and row number 4 then as they finish. Talons, Fluke, Sarika and Beneke, with Ariel, Zelensky, Sonnen, Half, Webster and Keita rounding out row number 9, with Marceno, Rin, with Collins, that's Bryn, with Mangan, Dambitz, and Violette. Final few on the grid is Jensen, Tetela, Nielsen, Nesov, Kaita, and Vecchio starting at the back of the grid. Well, these drivers will be getting themselves lined up on the grid, getting themselves set for this start, and very quickly then, Arjuna, give us a prediction just for this race.
Yeah, so again, remember the top 8 are inverted from what we saw from the sprint race. We've got 18 laps, so double the race distance, and the win is worth double as well. In terms of expectations and predictions, Diogo Pinto, I think, summed it up. It's going to be difficult to work forward. The question is back to hang at the front?
Well, we will soon find out. Those drivers are waiting patiently on the grid for that starting procedure. And in just about 10 seconds time, we will be going green for the first main race of the 2023 Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. Delighted to have you all here with us today. Paul Smith and Arjuna Kankapati on the call. Drivers now. Engine revs rise. We're getting set for the start. Green flag, and they're away, and it's a good start from the front row. A little bit of a wiggle from Sebastian Job on row number 2, but slots in to that 4th place. It's Biko and Campbell going side by side through turn number 1. The rest of your field thunder through turn number 1 in towards turn 2. Remember, cold tyres and brakes. You can easily lock up and brake into turn 2. So far, so good. Nice, clean action at the front, and Back and Pinker are making a little bit of a break at the front. Caruso, though, is putting the pressure on Zach Campbell down towards the hairpin for the first time. Campbell feels the need to go defensive. Caruso, we know he's got the 1-lap pace in that car because he got pole position into the hairpin. There's contact. There's cars around it. Sanchez. Oh, there's a Cooper Webster involved in all of that as well. And also in that is Bobby Zelensky. Number of cars involved down at the hairpin. I'm afraid to say that felt almost inevitable.
Yeah, it was a synchronized T-boning of 2 of the Stormforce Racing Apex Racing Team machines. Definitely saw Alejandro Sanchez mixed up in that one. May also have been Sal Vitale, the 2 Spaniards, unfortunately, not able to do so much. And that's why I do think on lap number 1, you say Zach Campbell went to the inside to be defensive. It's not just defensive, it's also the more conservative option. Yes, you can be tagged from behind if you're on the inside, but the risk is if someone on that inside has an issue, you're going to get washed up into, and you're going to take the bigger brunt of the damage. It is very much splintered up the field, though, as we wind to the end of lap number 1.
The young Dane of Lasse Bak, rookie to the series, in first place in his first main race of this championship. Alessandro Bicco, though, from Italy, he is going to be pushing on and trying to get the race lead. There is Lasse Bak himself from Denmark, and look at the focus, look at the concentration on his face right now. He is all about this race win today.
Yeah, this is very different to what we had from Quirk in the All-Stars, where he was excited. No, these drivers know that putting yourself in the right mental space is what you need to do to get the most performance. Lasse Bak trying to run with his mirrors filled by that bright green. You're not going to miss that front end on that Williams eSports Razor number 77, just trying to keep calm and manage, I don't want to say maintain, but manage the tires so that when we get to the end of this race, they still have something to play with. Let's take a look though, Paul, at what happened on lap number 1.
Yep, so this is it. So you can see defensive moves from your leader, also from Zach Campbell, but it's those 2 Stormforce racing cars get collected by Moreno Sarica. So that's what started it all, and then it's all just, well, concertina effect, one after the other, getting involved with each other, and no room, considering how wide the track is there. Everybody wanting the same piece of asphalt.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you've got 40 cars, 35 cars, or 30 cars like we've got this year. If someone goes deep into a braking zone and tags someone else, the end result is always going to be a chain reaction, unfortunately. And in this case, it was Moreno Sorica who will likely draw the ire of the stewards in the post-race review for what happened at the end of lap number 1. But as we work our way forward in this race, already a bit of separation building now between the top 4 and 5 or so. Zach Campbell still very much almost within a second of your race leader, but you can see behind small pockets opening, and the more that the drivers fight and squabble and cost each other time, the more it will allow those at the front to break away.
Yes, certainly. As they go through the Parabolica then, once again, heading into the hairpin, and Sebastian Job, former champion, 2020 champion, locks up, makes the move. Biko won't be happy about that, but Job makes that move stick. It was by hook or by crook, but one way or the other, Job is up to second place on track. Biko down to 4th place because of Campbell, and here comes Job round the outside. Turn number 8 into 9 and 10. Give the space there, and back does just that. And now Zach Campbell is getting excited. He can sense an opportunity because these two leaders are slowing each other down into the stadium section once again on lap number 3 of this race. There's 18 laps to go here, plenty of time. Job with the big lock-up. Biko goes through, so does Caruso. Job's been hung out to dry, and well, there's a bit of afters, but I tell you what, Biko didn't have anywhere to go because he had Caruso right alongside him.
Yeah, and now Seb's got to have to watch that rejoin and the slowdown that he would have got for cutting the course. That's going to be painful, but I'm going to place most of the responsibility on him. We saw a level of aggression into the hairpin that I don't think we've seen too much out of Seb in recent memory. He is here to fight towards the front, force back to have a little bit of contact, then check them all up. It's Zach Campbell down the inside into turn number 2 that watched all of that and found his opportunity to reach the front once again.
Oh my goodness, well, Campbell finds himself at the front, and I can tell you, covering the first 18 of this field is just 7 seconds right now. It is just one long queue. They're going 2 wide, 2 by 2 into the hairpin. Biko's making moves for 3rd place on Caruso. Campbell holds on to that one. Here comes Charlie Collins as well involved in all this, and Pinto in 6th place is going on. I want to get past. I need to get past to start my championship off here, but it's in 6th place, and we heard how he was thinking that moves are going to be difficult to come by. As I say that, Pinto is trying to make moves on Charlie Collins.
Yeah, and I think he is going to get hung out to dry. He is our defending champion, just like he did at the hairpin. Outside not working, Charlie Collins getting the elbows out, and now Diogo Pinto loses out to Gustavo Ariel. Let's take another look in big focus as to what happened here. Sebastian Job, you just see the left side locking up as he tries to slow that car down, and off the Sachs curve, you can see Alessandro Biko's got nowhere to go. He gets a little bit of a touch from Jordan Caruso that spears Biko off into Sebastian Job, who then dropped from the front of the field to 14th spot.
Yeah, Sebastian will not be happy with that, but as you say, the level of aggression that he showed there in those early goings, sometimes the aggression works for you, sometimes it goes against you, and well, he felt that he could try and lead from the front and try and get away. Zach Campbell, your race leader, he is, of course, a driver who has won multiple times with 2 main race wins, of course, famously at Interlagos last season with his first win in the main race. And well, he'll be hoping for another one. Look at how close these cars get on the apex of that hairpin. Absolutely sensational that they're able to drive, and it's no wonder when you consider how closely matched these drivers are out there. It's no wonder that there does end up being a little bit of argy-bargy.
Yeah, I talked to Zach actually in the build-up to this race. He spent a lot of the last 2 or 3 months in Germany at the Porsche Coanda team facility, helping them on some of their other endeavors, but he's back home now, focused in on this charge at this championship. And the one thing that I took from our conversation, Paul, is that he's going to take every race as the opportunity to learn about the other drivers. He knows which drivers he wants to fight hard with. He knows which drivers he'll be a little bit more careful with.
is Luca Kita, then another one of your drivers new to the championship for Urano eSports, through the final corner of this track once again, through the Sud curve. He's got Jamie Fluke in front of him, one of your ever-presents, just 5 ever-presents here in this championship. And, well, Kita is just biding his time, waiting patiently, the young German, through the right-hander. You can see that Apex Racing team car in front of Fluke. Fluke is somebody who is well-versed of pack racing as well and is used to it. Here's another one of your newcomers as well. Gustavo Ariel from Brazil, racing for the TXC Racing by TK team, of course Tony Kanan's outfit, and great to see them getting involved. Here comes Job then, down the inside of the 99 of Oscar Mangan at the hairpin. The move isn't paying off for him there. Car looks okay though for Job, and this is another one of your newcomers for Oscar Mangan.
Yeah, Oscar left Core Sim Racing midway through 2022 and took his time before finding his new home. Landed with Altus Esports in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup Contender Series. Has very much been working along with Simona Maria Marcheno and Jordan Caruso at trying to bring this program up to the very next level. I want to circle back to Jamie Fluke. You mentioned him as an ever-present, but he may actually be the longest running World Championship competitor in our field here today. We check in with the battle up front, but Jamie Fluke on Twitter earlier today, Paul, posted his first ever iRacing World Championship result was in the World Championship Grand Prix Series back in 2017. In the field of 35, only one is still competing here today, and that is the driver of the 49.
It's tremendous longevity at this level as well from Jamie. He's just missing that race win that he would love to get, but look at this then, a little bit further back then, Christopher Dambitz in 15th place with Moreno Sarica behind, and Dambitz as well is somebody who will certainly give it a good go, the German. 15th right now in this race, and he's not a rookie, he knows what it takes to race in this car. And 2020 finished 20th in the championship in Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup, so he brings a bit of experience to this team because it's a young outfit, isn't it, this Fire Simsport team with both Kevin Nielsen and Lasse Bach.
Yeah, and we did see, of course, Dan Beats as part of Team Redline most recently, so he brings a wealth of knowledge to a team in Fire Simsport that broke onto the scene in early 2022 when they won the iRacing Daytona 24 in the GTD category. Back on board with Moreno Sarica, maybe looking a little bit sheepish after the mullering that he had in through turn number 6, but another driver that returns to the series with a bit of experience under his belt, and now as he rides through the Sachs curve, Sarica tucked up behind Dan Beats, does have Quintin Violate behind him in that R8G entry. Very interested to see how Quintin gets along, but they're all settled into the rhythm now, Paul. There's not many moves being thrown as we near the halfway mark of this main race.
Yeah, across the line they go once again. Another lap in the books. Lap number 8, Quentin Violate, the Frenchman. We saw it was glimpses of moments for him in this championship last season. Didn't see that consistency from him. Good to see him back in the championship this season. Violate then for that R8G eSports outfit. And, well, just 2 top net 10s to his name. We're trying to get up there once again as there's moves happening in that top 10 because Pinto, I can see on the timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen, is duking it out with Ariel for 6th place, and in the background a shot there, a big sideways moment, slight side-to-side contact between the two, and still they stay as they were.
Yeah, Diego Pinto may be trying to convert his car to a drift special apparently, the lightest bit of contact with the TXC by TK entry, and well, he had to get the opposite lock dialed in to be able to survive. You'll hold off Johan Harth for now as we jump back on board with the Frenchman, the 2020 iRacing Rallycross World Championship winner. Diogo Pinto does have some struggles now in terms of the pressure that is being applied. Remember, we saw him losing not one but two positions courtesy of Charlie Collins getting the elbows out through the hairpin, and now it's on board with Johan Hart in the Apex Racing Team facility trying to work his way forward to 7th.
If ever there's somebody who knows how to get the elbows out, it is Johan Hart. He is certainly an aggressive driver as Johan, and will not be shy in making some moves. But you can see he's got the best seat in the house of the race for 6th place in front. Gustavo Ariel, of course, as I say, new to the championship, the young Brazilian, up against your current reigning, defending Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup champion of Diogo Pinto. And meanwhile, Sebastian Job, he is making some moves through this, trying to get some recovery positions in all of this. You can see the cars in front duking it out, that's slowing them down. And well, he is going to be trying to work his way forward here, but certainly Arjuna Job has got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and he's one of these drivers as well that you can see the forces in his arm. He runs this sim setup as powerful as he can make it, basically. The one thing you don't want to do when you have a lot of power in your wheels is run into the back of anyone, and 22 had to get on the anchors to avoid running into the back of Julian Sonnen in that number 40 R8G entry. You could just see, though, as it bounces over the curve, how much force Seb is having to deal with.
This is why he has training with a personal trainer to work on his fitness, work on his muscle mass, and to give him the strength and endurance that he needs to race these cars. If you think it's just, they're just racing around in circles in the home, it's quite something, I can tell you, especially with the high-end equipment that these drivers all run. But it just really does put them through a workout.
Yeah, and your point on the personal trainer is also, I think, a testament to the reason why Sebastian Job is now not just an esports driver for Oracle Red Bull Racing, but he is also an F1 sim driver for the main Formula 1 team.
As we see Jordan Caruso then, he was your pole sitter for the sprint race. Zach Campbell's pulling away at the front, and it's the race for 2nd place that we're seeing right in front of us. Lasse back, Alessandro Bico and Jordan Caruso went wide, and that's because Charlie Collins comes through. Thank you very much, into the hairpin. Collins gains a place, Caruso loses one there, and the two in front, Back and Bico, they're still duking it out. And while they're doing this, Zach Campbell is running away at the front.
Yeah, Zach Campbell's trying to take Imperial units back to the top step of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup winner's circle, and you can just see the gap's gone from 0.8 to 1.5 in the course of half a lap. And here comes Charlie Collins, who can actually help his teammate by being aggressive and costing this group a little bit more time. Collins up to 3rd.
As they go through then, and Collins, well, he is, for such a young driver, he has got some experienced head on his shoulders, that is for sure. We're at the halfway point then, and through they go through the sud curve once again. And what we'll do is give you a little bit of the sights and sounds of this Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup with a buzz full throttle. That was a lap of full throttle action brought to you by Burs, and well, Zach Campbell has got a 1.5 second lead here in the opening round of the 2023 Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. It's Paul Smith and Arjuna Kankapati here in the commentary booth, and it's B-Cup who is currently defending from Charlie Collins right now. And for VRS Quanda eSports, this would be a tremendous result for them if they are able to get themselves into that top two together. Don't forget, keep up to date with everything going on in this championship and the schedule standings, and also how to become a driver as well. iRacing.com/PESC. You can get more information about this championship. But I'll tell you what, Arjuna, Coanda, they'll be hoping the best of Charlie Collins right now.
Yeah, but I wonder for Zach Campbell what the strategy is now going to be, because he's got clean air, and we're at the point in the race, coming to 6 to go, where drivers a lot of the time like to play with track limits. You get a certain amount of infractions that you're allowed to accumulate over the course of the race, and a lot of drivers will try and save those up for the end to try and maximize the spots where they know. I've already been tagged on Twitter with this question. Someone in particular wants to know where the track limits are for turn number 1 at the Hockenheimring. So do note, if you do see drivers pushing the limits that much more and looking like they're driving off the track pole, it's very likely that they've saved up some of the incident points in the bank and are now trying to play with them.
Yeah, certainly. And I think Zach Campbell as well at the front will be trying to do an element of tyre preservation as well, because we've not really talked about the conditions there as we're on board with the Northern Irishman of Jamie Fluke, of course, working out of the Apex Racing Team outfit down there in Corbett. 32 degrees, call it, track temperature in Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but certainly it's not the hottest of track conditions out there, but they will still need to do an element of tyre conservation here in this race.
Talking about 0.4 to half a second of fall off over the course of the races, according to some of the drivers. What does that mean in terms of feel? The car is going to get a bit looser, but not significantly so, is what we're expecting. So don't expect the balance of these cars to change significantly. Does not mean they won't change, just slightly. Sebastian Job's recovery drive continues, but he's also having to look in the rearview mirrors, because here comes Oscar Mangan now with the nose in front as they dive their way out of turn number 10. Job's going to bounce over the inside curve once again, force Mangan to mount himself onto the slightly raised anti-cut curve, and that allows Luca Kita the opportunity in his Urano eSports number 16 to work his way up to 13th spot.
And what a tremendous view you get from the Porsche Experience Centre here at the Hockenheimring. And, well, Sebastian Job, he'll be ruining that opening of this main race here today. And he'll be just trying to salvage whatever points he can get. Julian Sonin right in front of him. And then there's a little bit of a gap between Sonin and Fluke. So it's going to be hard work for Job to get more than 11th place in this race. But never say never in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. I learned that a long time ago in 2019 when we had the first ever championship here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. But right now, these drivers still going side by side. Sarika, oh my goodness, how on earth did he hold on to that one?
Yeah, now this track has hosted rallycross in the past, but too many drivers are trying to test their skills on the grass, and it's all because it starts a little bit further up the queue as the 10 machine of Dampitz is just trying to play blocker right now. Up front though, towards the front, Charlie Collins has found his way to second, exactly what Zach Campbell will have wanted. It is now a Coanda 1 and 2.
I was tremendously honoured to actually go out to Grunau at the Coanda facility and got to meet both Zach and Charlie. And, well, these two, they know exactly what they're doing. Here's the view, by the way, from the Porsche Experience Centre right now, up on top of the building. Tremendous view of this stadium section of the track. But yeah, those two, they were really looking forward to this season of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup, and they're certainly showing it here in this main race.
What a view that we've got here as Ooze coming down onto pit lane. Now, are these drivers that have tangled with the incident limit and have been forced to serve a drive-through penalty. It includes Sebastian Job, who will lead down in Alexei Nesov and Tumas Tatala as well. That is one major championship protagonist dropping to the back of the field.
Yeah, Job, it goes from bad to worse for Sebastian, and you can just see just expressionless, emotionless. I mean, that's how you need to be to drive at the top level. You can't let emotions take over. There's Alejandro Sanchez, who's trying to make up for that incident on lap number 1. Job, the 2020 champion, number 22, down in 22nd after that drive-through penalty. But that is something we pointed out, didn't we, Arjuna? Instant points, some drivers will have saved them up, but those who have been getting the old shoulders out, they have got to be careful with track limits.
It turns out a commentator can be right twice a race, just like a broken clock is right twice a day. Those incident points, I think, at Hockenheim are definitely a big concern, especially compared to some of the other tracks where it can be a little bit easier to manage over the course of the race. This is always one that drivers will circle as needing to understand where the limits of the track are, and then understanding the race situation and how they will want to take advantage of them. Check in with our defending champion, by the way, after grabbing the victory in the sprint race and adding 25 points to his points haul. He now runs in 6th, tucked up behind Lasse back, but still with an opportunity as they work to turn 1.
It's a good debut from Lasse. 5th place right now in the main race, of course, started from pole position after finishing 8th in the sprint race. Looking to the inside though, here's your champion, car number 1, and he goes through, and Johan Half, well, he'll follow back through on Diogo Pinto, but Pinto's got to be careful now, because Johan's got to run here, and straight away Pinto's saying, look, you've got to go the long way around the hairpin here, and quite frankly, if I'm out of those two, I'd rather be in Pinto's position here as his hairpin.
No, absolutely, and I think he's done exactly what we'd expect at this level of racing as well, is just run the apex and hug it tight and not allow too many opportunities for that Apex Racing Team car to work its way on through. It's going to be interesting to track Johan Harth, by the way, who I do believe will be racing the entirety of the 10-round championship from Corby, where, of course, the Apex Racing Team launched their facility in the start of 2022. We'll be spending half the year in France, half the year over in Corby, and of course, it's a different environment, Paul, like you experience in Gronau with Coanda, when you are surrounded by the teammates pushing you to be the best you can be day after day.
Yeah, certainly, and you get that real camaraderie as well when you. It's all well and good, you know, working from your various homes around the world, and you do get to be friends with your teammates and learn how each other tick and work together. But it's a completely different environment when you're all able to actually physically work together and encourage people, and it just has that different feel to it being virtual. So yeah, as much as teams do work well in a virtual environment, and in fact you're seeing it right now, Diogo Pinto from home, currently defending from Johan Half there, and Half, you can see, is again focus, concentration. He's thinking. Pinto, he looks relaxed, I will say that about him, and he looks like he could almost fall asleep in that ring.
Yeah, again, we saw it with Lasse back, and the impressive jawline, by the way, on Lasse back as well. Just the calmness. And again, Diogo Pinto does exactly what he needs to do, and Johan Harth gives a bit of a wry smile, saying, well, there's only so much that I can do if my competitor is going to do what he needed to do. Look how close they get. Through turn 7, onto the brakes into 8, and Harth again looks the long way around.
Oh, and there's contact between the two of them. Lasse back is going to try and take advantage of all of this as well, but not able to get past Half. Half loses a bunch of time to Pinto in all of that, so that means that Pinto can feel a little bit more relieved, but there's just the slightest of contact between the two, and they were able to then separate. Fortunately, no positions lost in all of that, but it shows the minute, the fine margins that this championship has. Speaking of fine margins, 2 to go at the line, and Zach Campbell, that gap has come down at the front to tenths of a second. In fact, it's now the final lap here. I think Campbell's just managing his car right now, but he does look comfortable at the front.
Yeah, I think, again, you said earlier that even though sometimes you may be teammates in association but rivals on the track, in the case of Coanda running 1 and 2 with 1 lap to go, I think should be no doubt that they are going to run in formation to the checkered flag, allow Zach Campbell to grab what will be his 3rd main race victory in his now 3rd year in this series. And, well, like I said earlier, Zach Campbell takes Imperial units back to the top of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup.
As we look, more moves being made, and let's say back having to go defensive there on Max Benneker. We've barely talked about Max through all of this race, but he's been quietly working his way up, and he's up into 8th place now after having a nightmare qualifying, able to get into the top 8 here in this main race. But the final few corners are coming up, and 3rd place, it's not over yet, but Vico does have 1 foot on that bottom step of the podium. Your leaders coming through into Sachs Curve for the final time here in this opening round of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup 2023. And Zach Campbell, he's not relaxed yet, he's not celebrating it, he is focused all the way through the final corner. He gets a smile on his face now. He knows he's got the win, and that is a race win for the American across the line. Sensational stuff from Zach Campbell then to take the race win. Who's going to get this draw to the line then? That was Sonnen ahead of Kita and Mangan.
Whoa.
Literally half a tenth, and the big drama there at the end. Once you rejoin, we've got damage to both cars, and Marceno and Violate involved in that incident at the final corner.
Yeah, so we're going to leave Hockenheim with the tempers already flaring, but let's head then, Paul, over to our post-race show.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll give you your race results then in this opening week of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup 2023. And it is the young American Zach Campbell who wins this one by half a second over his teammate of Charlie Collins, the young Brit, finishing in 2nd place. The Italian Alessandro Bicco finishes in 3rd place for Williams Esports ahead of Jordan Caruso, the pole sitter from the sprint race. Pinto, he finished 1st in the sprint race, he finishes 5th in this race. What a good start to the defence of his championship. Johan Haaf, Lasse Bach, Max Benneker, Jamie Fluke and Gustavo Ariel round out the top 10. Sonnen Kita, Mangan, Dan Beats with Sarika, who caused the incident at the hairpin on lap number 1. Vecchio with Nielsen, Stuckbeck, Webster and Job finishing 20th in the end in that race. And then the rest of your field with a couple that did not finish, with Salva Talons and Oskari Rin. Wow, what a sensational opening round of this championship. And let's have a look then, Arjuna, at what happened on that last lap around the final corner.
Yeah, it was Quintin Violate and Simona Maria Marceno that were battling. We'll jump on board with the Red Bull car as they work through the final couple of corners. Bit of a block into the penultimate corner, turn 15. That opened the door for Marceno to throw a move to the inside. Maybe Violate squeezes him a little bit, but the end result is bumper cars being played in the very final corner at the Hockenheimring.
That was Sebastian Job in 1 place. And, well, Arjuna, take it away with our race winner.
Well, Zach Campbell starts off on top. Zach, you and I were talking before the season started, and you were saying that you didn't know what to expect. You were hoping to grab some victories. Well, that's one checkbox already ticked off.
Yeah, not too bad. A little better start to the year than last year. You know, qualified, I think, P14 and finished 21st last year. So, marked improvement, I think. No, but, I mean, it couldn't have gone any better. I mean, I can't say enough about having a teammate like Charlie Collins around, and how much we put in the last few days since there was an update to the car on Thursday, and being able to just grind it out, basically start from scratch and come back and have a 1-2 like this. It's something so special. I'm so pleased with everything today.
You talk about your teammate, let's talk about the team, because you spent quite a bit of the winter over in Germany at the Coanda facility with a lot of the teammates. What was that experience like, just being able to be around that environment and get ready for another season?
You know, I think, to be honest, being within the Porsche program for Virtual Le Mans Series, and being able to kind of come back to iRacing after that with a lot of new ideas in terms of procedures, in terms of really being able to just implement some of the things that I learned and be able to optimize our time this year. I think it provided huge benefits just for both of us. I mean, it made a huge difference overall.
Well, Zach, congratulations on a great opening round. Still 9 rounds to go. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, thank you, man.
We move over from Zach Campbell to his co-anda teammate, Charlie Collins. Charlie, Zach's already thanked you for being a great teammate. From your perspective, though, as you tried to chase him down in those final couple of laps, I've got to assume that the main thing you were thinking about was making it a VRS co-anda 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I was just trying to stay behind Zach. Yeah, honestly, I think as soon as I got out in second, the car just felt really good. And yeah, I didn't think I was going to catch Zach. So yeah, I just focused on my driving really for the last few laps.
Bit of an interesting year, I'm sure, for you now, because you're not the only Collins in the series. It's confusing for the commentators. You got your family. Bring Collins in the series as well. What's that like for you guys behind the scenes as you prepare?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, I'll be honest. I don't know if there's ever been any brothers in the World Championship Series before, but either way, yeah, it's been pretty cool, pretty weird as well. But yeah, I'm hoping it'll kind of improve over the season. I think he's gonna enjoy it.
And hopefully no tussles on the track, I'm guessing, as well. Great opening weekend for you and the team, Charlie. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time from Magny-Cours. Thanks for jumping in.
Cheers, guys.
And then we'll jump on over to Alessandro Bico for the Williams eSports team. Gets his first podium in the championship. Alessandro, you must have a big smile right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so happy, so happy.
What was it like coming into this year, Alessandro? Of course, no longer a rookie. I think your previous experience in the championship, I think fair to say it was a bit tumultuous. You started off, though, in a great way, and now it will all be about the momentum and carrying it forward from here.
Yeah, I mean, if we look, the last season, I couldn't say I could do this result. So, but I know I did a really good job in practice. We practiced a lot. We did a lot of work with the team. So, yeah, I need to thank all the guys. But yeah, I'm very happy. Finally, I got a good qualification. So I could start in front and then do my pace. So yeah, very, very happy.
Well, we've got the Italian contingent from Williams eSports this year. We'll see how you guys go. We'll see you in 2 weeks from France. For now, congratulations on the result, Alessandro.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's going to wrap up our top 3 podium interview poll, and let's take a look at how the points are looking then.
Yeah, absolutely. So the early going sees Charlie Collins up in first place, as I lose the ability to actually see the points up on my screen. So instead we'll talk about how close the action was on that race, and my goodness, it was tremendous fun to see as well. And it was certainly good. There we go. I finally got it on my end. But John Caruso and Diogo Pinto joined second, with Zach Campbell in third. I mean, we should see it each and every season how close this championship is.
Yes, but already what you'll note is where Sebastian Joe, where he is in the championship, down in 13th, a good 50 points off of the championship leader, Charlie Collins. By no means is he out of the championship equation, Paul, but you know as well as anyone, you need consistency to become a world champion. It's very difficult when you start off on the back foot.
Well, we go from Hockenheim and we head on over to France to a track that we've never raced in this championship, and that is Magny-Cours. It's going to be a new challenge for these drivers, and certainly a historic Formula One track over the years, one that's produced some tremendous action. So do make sure you take a look at that one in 2 weeks' time. 7 o'clock GMT for the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup on February the 18th. But that is going to be all that we have time for here today. Thank you very much to Arjuna Kankipati for joining us for his debut in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. I have been Paul Smith, and well, what a dramatic opening to this championship. Until 2 weeks' time at Magny-Cours, it's goodbye.